Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kazanthi here, and today we are building a cozy winter holiday cafe. So you can see now I'm just finishing up with the shell and moving on to roofing. I was quite inspired by those more, I guess you can say, sort of Parisian European cafes, sort of Georgian style, very structured square buildings and shutter windows and everything like that, so you can see that will be coming through in a second. But yeah, I would say that the Christmas aspect really comes in at the end, and you will see snow in the screenshots, but I did build it just in build mode without a sim on the lot, so there's no like effect of seasons until later on. So at first I did consider maybe having a hangover with the first floor, but then I decided to instead create this trellis that you see I'm doing now and have a balcony. This is actually the first ever cafe I've built, so it was quite fun. I was mainly focusing on just getting all the like requirements for the lot. So, you know, in the top left corner you get the lot details, and then if you select restaurant or spa and things like that, they'll have requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify. So I was mainly just focusing on that when it came to this build, but overall I think it was quite nice. It's quite simple to build compared to like residential builds. And I guess also the fact that I used restricted game packs or like expansion packs and stuff really factored into that. So this build is only base game, dine out, cool kitchen stuff, the holiday pack and seasons, maybe one other one as well, but the only expansion pack is seasons. So hopefully that's a little bit easier, more accessible for more people. But yeah, you can see those shutter windows coming through now, so I used smaller ones on the top and larger ones on the bottom just because I wanted more light to come through into the ground floor. And then for the like actual courtyard of the cafe, I used that brick tile to kind of create a separate space compared to like the pavement and the continuation of the pavement into the lot. But yeah, sorry, I'm a bit at a loss of what to say. So we're just adding in some doors for the balcony. Chose to do like one at either end just to create, you know, a bit more of a flow of movement, and then adding in those shutters as well that I used on the front of the build and bringing them around to the side. And then I think we move on to adding in some plants. Yep, there we go. And at first I accidentally covered up the door, so I plan to have like a 2-tile wide sort of almost space, yeah, a 2-tile wide space going to the door, and I accidentally covered it up, but here you can see I fixed it and it's all is right and fine. And then just for the chairs and tables, I went with dine out and base game chairs. I wanted to use those wicker chairs that you see, you know, in like typical Parisian style cafes, but unfortunately that comes with a pack that wasn't included in my restrictions, so I went with these instead that kind of are more, you know, they're more suited to being outdoor seating. And then we're just adding in some wall decorations, so we started off with the dine out plants and then also some flower boxes, and then I add some trees to the front and the back, just using the sledgehammer tool to take away those floor tiles that are covering up the ground. you can see here. And then I go in with the same sort of fence I used on the trellis to section them off into sort of essentially flower boxes. And then these three at the back as well, I add some low-lying plants just to create a more overgrown look to them, whereas the two at the front I left alone, even though I did contemplate maybe adding some stuff, but I thought because that's, you know, the side that's facing the curb, you might want more curb appeal, and so they'd be a bit more tailored, a bit more cultivated compared to these ones at the back. So yeah, you can see I'm adding in those low-lying plants now, just doing the train paint. And then this is pretty much it for outside. Really wasn't much more else to do. I did think about adding in like vines and trellises and things, but I just thought I don't know how a lot of this is going to come across in winter. I think the trees don't lose their leaves and the planter boxes don't either. None of the plants in the boxes do. So it all does stay what I have put out, but I didn't want to add any like vines or anything, you know, like creepers, in case they didn't, you know, show up very well in winter for the screenshots. But yeah, so we're moving on to outdoor lighting now. So I've just added those string lights of stars. I know I could have like brought a sim in and like made them decorate the cafe, but I just thought I'll add the string lights in because it'll make it simpler, because I've already started with the build. And then two, it's kind of, the idea was that those string lights were more of an all year round thing. And then just for the remainder of the outdoors I used like I think it was like an oil lamp, so it gives off a really nice yellow glow. And then just adding some air vents or like steam vents up on top of the roof. Here for the balcony, I was thinking of originally putting these tables in front of the windows, but then I decided I don't want to block off the windows and it'd be a bit weird, because then they'd probably be like looking, you know, if you're sitting outside, you'd be able to look directly inside, which would not be nice for people sitting inside, so I went with putting them in between the windows. Now we're onto the ground floor. So ground floor has all the toilets and the kitchen, and then upstairs is just seating. There are quite a few tables and chairs, so there's definitely like a lot of room for loads of sims. You could maybe use this as more of like a party party venue. I did set like all the waiters and stuff, their outfits, and I did set the menu to a brunch menu. So that means it's like, you know, more sandwiches and cakes and things, and that suits being a cafe better. And then for the waiters' outfits, they're just basic waiters' outfits, and then they've got some festive hats, and the chefs I left alone. And then the host and hostesses, they have, which you'll see in the screenshots, they have some costumes that suit the holiday theme. But yeah, you can see I'm just adding in the sinks now. So the toilets are all separate, and then sinks are open for anyone to use like it would be in a normal cafe bathroom. And there's not much else in terms of decorating. I just put some mirrors and then like a waste paper basket and a small plant to sort of liven it up. But yeah, I was just mainly keeping it simple, just because I didn't want to overload myself as well, because it's like I said, the first time I'm building a cafe, so I was just focusing on getting the structure more so than aesthetics and looks and everything. But yeah, so here, this is the kitchen. I go for like the subway tile for the back wall and the half wall. And then it moves around a lot in terms of the furniture. So that chef station is like on the left, it's on the right, it's on the half wall, but eventually it ends up in that right hand corner, just because that made a bit more sense due to the shape. It's like an L shape, so it fits into the corner better. And I just don't like the look of it sticking out randomly like that. And then on the walls we just have that chalkboard menu and and I add the spice racks, and then just knives, utensils, pots and pans, things like that. That's really all the wall decoration that comes in here. And then this is like the final stop before the actual final stop. So I put the chef station there, and then I actually put in cabinets, like, yeah, and then I move it into the corner. So it was quite the wild ride. But yeah, so that gets moved like that. And then I think I added in another stove as well. I don't really know why, just because it felt like it was missing something. And then there's the bin on the end there. And then that is it for the kitchen, really. And then the only two remaining items that I was missing was the waiter and host stations. So I just, if you click like on requirements and then you click on the item that it said up there, waiter station, if you click on that, then it'll come up with what you need. So you don't have to go and like hunt for it in the catalogue. But yeah, so that was essentially meeting all the requirements. And then I just finished up the like base structure with filling out the walls and flooring, and then adding in more tables and chairs on the inside. So I went with this sort of wainscoting paneling, and I just stuck with some simple colours because I knew I was going to be decorating a lot with Christmas or like holiday Winterfest decorations, so I didn't want anything clashing with that. So I didn't really know at this point like what exactly I was going to use and where everything was going to go, so I didn't want to have to create a problem for myself later on. And then the other thing is, every time I place tables down, I really can't tell what is going to work or not. So here I start doing a little middle row, but then I realise it probably won't work because it's all too close together. So I get rid of it and I pull the back row forward and add in that one onto the end there. And again, for like lighting indoors, I just stuck with this base game chandelier, which has again that a very nice yellow glow to it, which kind of gives a nice cozy vibe. So you can see now I'm just adding in those log candles that I put on the outside tables, and then just rearranging the lights a little bit. And I think, yeah, moving on to the downstairs now, where I use the larger tables. And again, I put them in the middle of the room, but realise it's not going to work, so I just push it over to the side, and then it's also a bit nicer because, yeah, it just kind of creates more of a pathway throughout the room. Sorry, I don't know why I went blank there. But yeah, so now I'm actually onto decorating for the holidays. So you saw I added in those holiday speakers, and then you can play like Winterfest music. I think you like get Winterfest music at least. And then just adding in some holiday curtains, the garlands on the doors. I was trying to find if there was another colour combination of these that I liked, but unfortunately the only ones that I really think are suitable are the default swatches. So I know it looks a bit like my previous build, which was a winter like holiday home build. But yeah. And then I've added in this Christmas tree, but this tree is from Seasons, so it's actually like more for a family build because it's got presents underneath. Whereas the holiday free little kit pack thing, that comes with a Christmas tree that doesn't have any presents around it, and it's more like it's better suited for a communal space. So I swap those out later on. And then with that fireplace, I do move it along a little bit so it's in the middle of the back wall. And then here I'm just adding some streamers into the windows, and then just now moving these garlands onto the back wall as well. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but with the fireplace it created a weird shade, like some weird shading on the back, and I didn't really know how to fix it, so I just left it. And then yeah, so for the outside I use these garlands with the actual tree decorations, like the baubles on them. Unfortunately though, because of like when it's snowing, the whole balcony is obviously covered in snow because there's nothing to stop it from being covered in snow. So those decorations do just become white. But yeah, so here are just some final touches. So this is just some decoration, like the little tree decorations on the long tables instead of the logs that are outside, just to change it up a little bit. I add in the holly garlands because you can't not have the holly garlands when it's Christmas. And you also saw that I added in a snowman just by the host's station. I also then carry that through to the outside, which we'll get into in a second. Sorry, just itching my eye. Oh my god. Okay. But yeah, so now I'm just putting those garlands up, just kind of, there you go, that's me switching out the Christmas tree. It just looks a lot better. It's a nicer Christmas tree. And then I'm kind of filling out the outside just with some more decorations. So we've got some snowflakes, the nutcrackers, the snowman, and then another nutcracker here, just to really suit the vibes of the whole holiday season. And then I was going to add garlands there, but I thought it would clash too much with the curtains because it would be too high, and then also they would clip through the like floor on the first floor. So instead I just put a lot of garlands here, the pinecone garlands, and also the snowflake. I don't think they actually light up, but those snowflake strings of snowflakes, as well as the wreath. So I think that kind of really brings it all together. But that's us coming towards the end of the build. I know it was like a really quick one, but I wanted to keep it simple because it was my first time building a cafe. I hope you enjoyed regardless, and here we are onto screenshots. I'll see you next time. Bye!
So you think you know Wix, but do you really?